Well, I'm at the Boulevard Diner in Baltimore, and just a few hours ago, the Trump train drove here, and the Republican presidential candidate sat just a few yards from me there, in the corner, if you can see it. And I understand from the staff that it was the famous crab cakes here that he tucked into, and I'm joined by some of his supporters who gathered outside to see him. Now, this has been a fairly significant weekend in the race. Hillary Clinton referring to half of Donald Trump's supporters as a basket of deplorables. What did you make of that?
I really don't get into the race baiting. I don't like that with her on that side. She race baits way too much. And she can't run on her record, so she just race baits. Trump should stay focused and get out the vote, and we'll help him get out the vote.
Were you offended by it? Do you think it will be politically damaging for her at all, or do you think there was some truth in it?
No, there was no truth to it. She's just doing what she does to race bait because that's what she thinks she's got a canvas for votes. I personally wasn't offended by it. I don't get personally offended really easily anyway. So.
And tell me, her health and his health has obviously come center stage of the campaign now. There have been some theories about her health leading up to this disclosure over the weekend that Hillary Clinton was suffering from pneumonia. He didn't speak explicitly about it at the National Guard Association event earlier on today. Do you think he's right not to be focusing his energies on her health?
Absolutely. There's no need for him to focus on her health. She's not healthy, and we all see it. And anyone that saw that video of her stumbling and losing her shoe, I think she's probably lost feeling in her, probably in her lower extremities. She's obviously very weak, and I don't expect to see her on the campaign trail for at least 3 or 4 days. And I don't believe it's pneumonia. I think she has the beginning stages of Parkinson's.
I mean, that certainly forms the theories around some people, but of course she has put out a 2-page statement previously about her health, which is more than Donald Trump has in volume so far. Do you want to know more about his health?
I do know what his health is. I look at him. He looks extremely healthy to me, doesn't he?
Why do you think health
Absolutely.
is...
Macho man.
Why is health so important, do you think, particularly in the US election? It's obviously a fairly grueling schedule.
Absolutely. And he's keeping a very grueling schedule. I've watched his videos on YouTube. I watch his speeches wherever he is across the country. And he does a couple in a day. And he's up early. He goes to bed late. He's not on the golf course, and that's not what he's going to do when he's in office. He's going to be putting in time and putting it out there.
He's recently been visiting African-American churches, trying, it would appear, to reach out to African-American voters, which have typically voted Democrat. Do you think he's done enough?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he will continue to do that. Donald is a very brave man. He's not someone who's going to be led down any path of anything. He makes his own decisions. And I think it's very, very smart of him to reach the black community. The Republicans have traditionally just given away the vote to Democrats, and the Democrats have done nothing for the last 50 years in the black cities. They've pretty much, a lot of them have lined their pockets, and I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of. When Donald gets in and they start doing audits, and we'll find out whatever happened to the millions spent on the war on poverty, and people are poorer now than they were 10, 20 years ago.
It's been an intriguing few days on both sides of the race. Many saying that Donald Trump has appeared to be increasingly more disciplined in his speeches, but lots of Republicans too still wanting more detail. Today he was talking about national security. We heard a bit about his vision for national security, and he said that he has the generals on side. They like me and I like them, he said. But last week he said that generals have been left in the rubble. Do you think that he's running a risky strategy on that side, or do you think he's starting to come forward with more detail?
I feel he's starting to come with more detail. As when he gets join with these men. He's a man that he can sit down and negotiate, and probably negotiate for his side. He's a brilliant man. He knows how to speak to people, and he understands people, and then he can talk to people in a way that they can understand. So I think it's going to get better for him. It's just that he doesn't deal with generals and captains every day.
There are obviously concerns about the transparency of Hillary Clinton's campaign and now about her health and what they did and didn't say. But do you think it will make a difference to her, or her comments about deplorables? I mean, is there anything that she could have done to win voters like you over?
There's nothing she could ever do to win me over. Hillary will continue to race bait the rest of this election the best she can, just to pander to get the votes. That's what the Democrats been doing all along, and honestly, she's been the worst one I've ever seen run and race bait this much. It's horrible that she's going to do it. But Donald Trump's a tough guy, and he's smart and he's brilliant. And the reason why she's doing that is because that's the only thing she has to run on. So she's just pandering for votes. And anybody with common sense, Americans with common sense, true Americans will come out for Donald Trump, and we will bring him in for the win.
The polls are certainly tightening in some of those swing states, and we see his performance nationally appears to have improved, if indeed you believe in the polls. What do you think he needs to do to secure victory here? Because from the latest Washington Post polls, it would seem that she is still edging ahead on the national.
For Maryland?
Across the country, what do you think to make it into the White House? What does Donald Trump need to do?
I think he needs to keep doing what he's doing, keep going into the cities, the inner cities, because the inner cities are worse than they've ever been. I think if he continues to talk about his policies and put all his policies out there and continue talking to minorities and get the minority vote, and there are a lot of women that are for Donald Trump. The media likes to twist things and try to downplay everything that he does, and that's not the case. There's going to be a solid majority that speaks out for Donald Trump.
Well, that's interesting. Do you think there is an element of this secret Trump supporter that's going to play in this election?
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, because a lot of people are falling prey, if I could use that word. I think they're falling prey to the traps that have been set by the media. And I do see them as that because I think they're all in the tank for Hillary. When the Democrat Party can actually send out questions that they want asked by her, which I hope they're not doing for this debate, if she's able to make it, it shows you just how desperate they are. So a lot of people are feeling some of the animosity that's being, I think, fermented by the Democrat Party. And I think they're being paid. I know that George Soros and other operatives, some of the unions, some of these people that are out at the protests are being paid. And who wants to go through that? Who wants to wade through people who don't respect our right as citizens to voice our opinion?
Can I ask all three of you, what issue, if any, matters the most to you in this election?
The most important to me would be, and I would put, there are three of them: the economy, jobs, and security. And I'd like to see the wall built. Not to keep people out, but for the safety of it. I think it's very necessary.
Okay, economy, jobs, security. And what about yourself?
I agree with Barbara. Security is very important. We're getting thousands of illegals coming in here, taking away our jobs, sending money back to their country. Well, we have no say. We have no tax on that.
And what about you? What do you?
Economy, security, and
You're undecided on the third.
yeah.
But
There's
you're
so
on.
many. There's just
But you're on the Trump train. There's nothing undecided about you, as I can see from the hat. Let me
I
ask.
think he should build the wall, definitely.
Let me ask you about the issue of women voters. There has been a lot of debate around how much Donald Trump may or may not have offended women, and that they won't get on side with him. Some polls that suggest that he's failed to reach out to them. In the debate around Hillary Clinton's health, do you think there's any inherent sexism, that there's been more pressure on wanting to know about her health than there has been on Donald Trump, or do you think it's fair game and that they are being treated equally?
I think they're being treated equally. Donald Trump, you can see that he doesn't have any health problems. But with hers, they're pretty much twisting that side and trying to keep it on the down low so that people will continue to vote for her when her health is really bad. But Trump, you can see that his health is good.
You are in an otherwise sea of blue here in Maryland. It's generally Democratic through the years, but we've seen Republicans do well in this particular district. What does he need to do to get what's happening here translated across the country?
What he's doing. He just needs to continue doing what he's doing. And if I could just address something that you asked earlier about the generals and the generals that are supporting him. He did make a statement about the generals being reduced to rubble, but not the generals specifically. It's the Obama policies that have reduced these generals to rubble. The rules of engagement and the way that they're fighting this war, which is not to win. And that's what I think he was referring to with that.
Well, thank you, Lisa, Barbara, and Sherry, joining us to have a chat about Donald Trump and why he clearly appeals to you. We will see throughout this week now the campaign hotting up. Hillary Clinton's team say they hope that she will be back on the trail, but clearly Donald Trump seizing the advantage here, trying to take this time to address his supporters. Went straight on to North Carolina once he left here. It is a very intriguing turn in what is an already extremely heated race.